let's go ahead and get started. All right, school interface 3. I'm gonna come over here and pop up Platoon. I'm gonna fork that over to my personal GitHub and then clone it down. So it's forking over. Let's go ahead and so I've got school interface 2. I'm gonna copy over some files from school interface 2 and just run it just to make sure I'm at where the starting point is where I need to be. So I'm going to clone this down. So I'm green code button, copied it to my clipboard. I'm in my terminal now. We got school interface 2 right here. I'm going to do git clone school interface 3. There we go. And so now let me just make sure. What do I need to copy over? School. So is there anything I need to copy? Oh, I guess this is the starting point for school interface 2. Is that right? So do I actually even need to copy over anything? I'm just
No, I don't.
You can
so.
just add.
I can just add stuff to it. Okay, cool. All right, well, let's just actually run school interface 3 just to make sure. CDOP school. There we go. I'm going to open this up into a new VS Code window, and I'm going to just run through it just to make sure everything still works. And then we'll look at. So I've got my person, school, staff, student. All right. I'm going to change that. Just so I don't. So if you do the double or the triple quotes, it will stay formatted like this. I don't have to use the N or anything. So staff have to do that too. Nope. I'm just going to read through this. All right, let's just run this, see what happens. All right, open up the terminal. I'm going to Python runner, run that. So I just want to list all the students just to make sure. So I've got Lisa, Jesse, Slater, Kim, Dave, Doug. All right, I'm going to view a student by their ID, 34456. And there I've got Kim right there, 34456. All right, I guess that's working. All right, let me see. Staff. If I wanted to list print and F string, I'm gonna do capitalize. Just so when I list all the students, oh, it didn't work. Oh, it's because I have to quit and run that again. So now all the first names are all capitalized. So if you don't know the capitalized method, just capitalize the first element in a string. All right, so here we go. We've got a few things we need to do. We need to add students. Let's make it so our user can add student information to our database. We'll need a few things here. First, we'll have to add a new case to our if statement. All right, so let's open up our runner. Is that right? Our runner. So here, add a 3. All right. So here we're creating an add student method, and I'm gonna split the screens there so we can have all that stuff. So we have find student by ID. Now we need to add a student. So inside of my school add student. It's a student data. And I'm just going to pass right now because I'm going to have to add to this. Don't know what I'm going to add there. All right. But there's one thing we need to do. We need to, for a way to actually add student name, age, school ID, and password. So just like before, we call a method that we have not yet defined. This method should take a dictionary containing all the data to make a student object. So we'll have to have a student dictionary. So the student data should look like, I'm just going to throw it here, just kind of show you what it looks like. Data should equal like have role, student, student. What else did it need? Name, age, name, some like name, age. What was it? Name, age, was it password? And was it the last one ID or something? School ID. And name, age, school. Cool. So that's what's actually kind of being passed in there. It's a dictionary with these attributes on them, these keys and values. So here, what we can do, I'm going to bring that over to here inside of this part. But we have to extract that, or we have to somehow get the name, age, password, and school ID. So I'm just going to delete all of that. And what doesn't change is the role. So the role will always be student. But now we need to add these, the name, age, school ID, and password to the student data dictionary. So student name equals, and now we can actually grab some user input from the command line. I think it's using input, enter student name. There we go. So we can student name, age, ID, password. So name, age, school ID, or what is it? Is it school ID or student ID? School ID and password. All right. So we can, I'm just gonna print student data like so, just to see if that comes in. So if I do Python runner, unexpected index, where is that at? And the school.python right here. So this, I've deleted that pass. Clear that again. All right. So I'd like to add a student. So I'm going to click 3, mode 3, click there, student name, let's do Tom, age, 35, school ID, and password 123. And there we go. Role, student name, Tom, 35, school ID, password. Then I can quit. Cool. Now I'm passing that school student data inside of this student right here. So it comes over here and this add student. And again, I can just do print student data. Clear, run that, add student. I'm quit. Tom, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I get the same thing printed out over here, but it's printing out on line 21 there. So inside of here, I'm going to need to create a new student object with this dictionary. So how can I go about doing that? So I'm importing student here. So let's go ahead and create a new student object. New student equals student. And now in here, let's take a look at the student class just to see what that looks like. So I need the name, age, password, role, school ID in that order. So there's a couple ways I can do this. Let's just see if this works. So I can do student data, name, age, password, so role, and school ID. So in here, I'm passing in the student name using a dictionary. So I'm extracting the values from the dictionary. And if I just want to print the new student object, I can do that. Oop. Clear 3, Tom 1, 2. And I come up here. There's my new student object that I've created. Is there an easier way to, instead of passing all this stuff in there? Does anybody know?
Yeah, Korg.
What is it?
Korg.
Quargs? 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 What is quargs or quarg? Who wrote that?
It's a keyword argument where we pass in using the spread operator.
So how does that look? So student data, is it ... I know that's how it is in JavaScript.
The asterisk.
Two asterisks.
Double asterisks. Okay, let's see if that works. I'm going to print new student. If it doesn't work, we can just go back. So I'm down here in the terminal. Let's run that again just to make sure everything still works. 123. See if it worked. Cool. Yep. So keyword arguments, you can pass in like that. That's literally pretty much doing the same thing as that, except it's like doing name equals whatever this value is, age equals, password equals, etc. So it's doing the same thing, but it's a lot easier to read. Student data. Cool. So now I've got my new student object, but where can I, so now I just want to see what it says. So add a student. All right. Take dictionary containing all data from here. We'll do two things. First, we need to ask the user for the name, age, blah, blah, blah. Next, we need to put those values into a dictionary and pass that dictionary into our method. So that's what we just did. Cool. We'll refactor it in the next challenge. For now, let's finish up the functionality of this feature by going into our school class and writing our add student method. This method, you will need to create a new instance of the student object and add it to the self.students variable. All right. So we need to add it to the self.students variable. Self.students append. So we're appending that new student object. Great. So we can go ahead and test that. I'm going to quit that. We can test it by running, Python runner. I'm going to add a new student, Tom 21. School ID is 4147. Why not? Password 123. or XXX. I'll do 1, 2, 3. Cool. So I added everything. Now I want to list all the students just to see if Tom was added. And there we go. Cool.
What did you append that to in that step?
So I appended it to this self.students, which is a list of student objects. Does that make sense? So what happens is when I run this runner file, it comes up here, creates a new school instance. So it creates the school, comes into here, initializes the school with the name, which we're passing in as Richmond High. And then it comes into this self.staff, comes over here, self.staff, runs this class method that reads from the CSV file and creates a new staff object and appends it to the staff array and returns that array. So it creates a new list of staff objects right there. And it does exactly the same thing for the student objects, which is a list of student objects right there. But when I go ahead and add a student, it just appends to this list of student objects. All right. So release 1. All right, so we were able to add it, but when I list all the students now, Tom isn't saved anymore because I haven't actually saved it to the CSV file. So after I exit out of the program, so if I run this again, 3, Tom, 1, 2, let's just do 5, 5, 5, 1, 2, 3. Cool. I created a new student. I added that new student to the self.student object or this list of student objects. Now I want to go list all the students. So I can list all the students. It enumerates through the self.students list of student objects and it prints each student there. So there we go. So it prints through all that, but it doesn't actually, but when I quit, it doesn't actually, so I lose all this data. And when I go to list all the students, it doesn't actually save Tom to it because it's not saving anything to the CSV file. So now we actually have to save the data. So you may have noticed a huge problem with our program. Yes, we can add a student, but once we exit, all the data is lost. We need to find a way to save that data to a CSV file so that our data persists. Persist just means it saves to some database. So complete the add student method so that it loops through all the students in our objects and our self.student objects and saves it to the CSV file. So, so what does it say? Loop through. So in here, I'm gonna, when I add a student, so it loops through all of our student objects. So I'm gonna say with open. So I'm gonna path, let's see. So it looks like I need to find a way to get to the path of the student CSV file. Is there any way I can do that? So it looks like I can do it down here. So that's what that's doing. So I'm just going to import CSV, import OS path, because I'm going to need the CSV file as well. And anything I'm importing from an outside library, I'm going to keep it up at the very top. And just for, I'm going to keep them like a separate line, just to keep that separate. All right. So how do I go about So I've got OS. All right. OS.path. So I guess this is what that is. I'm just gonna bring this up at the very top.
Sorry if you mentioned this, but what's the difference between OS and OS path?
Let's see. Well, OS path is just like another layer deeper inside the OS system. It's just like another. So yeah, let's just like, so if we do like print OS, print OS dot path, I'm sorry, my path, because that's, yeah, let's just print OS path. Oop. Let's see, what is this? Python runner. So I should print stuff. Oh, whoops. I'll get to that. Clear. So this is what that looks like. So yeah, they're just another, it's another module, looks like, within the OS.
Thanks.
Print, let's just print my path and print path. Ugh. See what that looks like. So my path grabs the absolute path to the classes directory, so where the school is located at. And then I'm just joining how I get to the student.csv file right there. So I can bring this down. I can have it up here inside of there, or I can bring that down to here. Like so. And now I can do the with open path. What do we want? Do we want to write to it, not append to it? So mode, I can actually just do mode equals W as CSV file. What field names do we need for the student? So name, age, role. Field names equals name, age, role, school ID, and password. And now I can do CSV. I can do dict writer, or just write row. I'm just going to do a write row. CSV.writer, just what I did. CSV writer dot write row, because we're overwriting everything. It needs the field names. I can do for student and self.students CSV writer dot write row, and I could use just a dictionary student dot name, student dot age, student dot role, student dot school ID, student dot password. That's just what I did. If I run that, I can list all the students. All right, let's add a student. Was it 3? Tom, age 31. School ID is 555 123. And I just appended, all right, I rewrote everything. But with that, I'm doing that to add student. So I'm doing two different things. I'm adding a student to the student object, and I'm simultaneously writing a student to, I'm saving all the list of students. So I can probably separate this out into its own method. Def save students just takes in the self keyword and everything else is the same. So instead of doing all that, I can just do save students because I might want to save the students doing something else. See, run that again. Let's add a student. Name, Anchor. 2, 3. There we go. Any questions about that?
Yes. Hi, Tom. Could you show us how to write to the CSV file using the dictionary?
The dict reader. Yep. Let's go ahead and try to do that. Let's see if I remember that off the top of my head. Did anybody else do the dict reader?
Yeah, I used it.
I did.
Yeah, let me see. Let me pull up something. Base 1. Just look at something. Yep. All right. Let's look at the dict reader. So if I did, I'm just gonna copy all this down. Comment this out. All right, so as CSV file, I'm gonna actually look at the documentation, CSV Python, because I don't have it in front of me. Where'd it go? So it's in here. Oh, dict writer. All right, so we got field names. There we go. Right head. So I'm just going to use this. Oh. So is this dict writer? CSV file. What was it? Field names. Those field names. Oh. Field names. So it's, is it right header? Right header. I don't think I need to pass anything else in there. And then in here, I'm just gonna make that dictionary. And so it'd be, was it role or name?
Just passing the student though.
Can I just pass in the student and it'll still work
I think so, yeah.
like that? So that's just a student object and you can print student. Just want to see what that looks like. So 5, clear that. And we can list all the students and add a student. We got Jason. Jason, I have no idea how old you are. 1999. Password is XX. There we go. Uh-oh. what just happened?
Because student's an object, I think, right? So you can't just pass that in there, right?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure that out. So it would be name. Let's just try to do that. So let's just actually pass in that dictionary for the
Well,
name.
You call dot dict.
Is it dict and then
No. Student dot dunder dict.
student dot dunder dict? Like so?
Yeah, it might work.
Yeah. Let's see if not.
You have to call it. It's just a property.
All right. If not, we'll have to, for the sake of time, let's just do it the old fashioned way. And so Jason. Page 20. There we go. That's nice. That's beautiful. Easy peasy. So yep, that's one way to do it. Or if you want, so I want to say sometimes it's easier, but if you do want to like type in like everything, that's also okay. So student.name, age, and like create that whole dictionary. That's also okay. It's in that case, you actually specifically know what's going inside of what consists of your student object, but like properties and attributes. But yep, this works. I like this way. This is perfect.
Tom, can you show me again how starting up the school class loaded the students and staff? Because the way I did it, I didn't get like that list of objects.
All right. Yeah. So when I run the Python runner .py, so when I run that, where did it go? Did I miss it? So what happens is, oh, what the hell? Run Python.runner. It comes over here and creates a new school instance. And it passes in Richmond High. So when it comes and creates a new school instance inside of the school class, it comes into here inside the dunder init. You pass in that name. It signs that self.name to that Ridgemont High. And then inside the self.staff equals staff.objects. And we're invoking this objects class method. So it comes over to class, staff, this objects class method. And this is where it opens up the CSV file, reads from the CSV file, creates a new staff object, so an individual staff object, and appends it to this staff array, and it returns an array of staff objects. So that's what is happening on line 10. And then it's assigning that to an instance variable inside the school called staff. And exactly same thing is going on with the student object or the student class. So it calls student.objects, which is a class method, opens the CSV file as a dict reader, creates a new student object by passing in all the student attributes, name, age, password, school ID, role, and creates a new student object and appends it to the students array and returns that array. That is what is right here. It's an array of student objects, and we're assigning that to an instance variable students with inside the school object. Does that kind of make sense? Or is it kind of hard to kind of follow the like the data of what's being called and where and all that?
Is this going to be posted afterwards?
Yep. Oh yeah.
But I think I can follow it through.
Oh, all right. Yeah, it's once these programs start to expand, it's kind of hard to follow like the data flow of where it's going. And it just takes time, and you just kind of have to run through. And so I can print here, print self.students. Like so. And so if I quit here and just run the runner file, it should print all the students. Python runner. So here is a list of student objects. So it's from student object. So that's what is printed off right here. All right. So that's some saving the data. Now, last feature we need to implement is the ability to delete a student record. Follow the same procedure as before. First, add a condition to the if statement. What information will you need from the user in order to delete a record? How you get it passed to your method. Then in school, define a method, delete student, and rewrite to your CSV file. Or you notice any duplicate code, maybe you can refactor. Maybe, maybe not. All right, so inside of our runner file, let's go ahead and create a elif mode equals 4. We can, what information do we need to delete a student? What did you all put? If you, I'm just gonna use the student ID input, enter student ID. And now I can do school. Well, I need a double school dot delete student and pass in that student ID in there. But now I come over here, instead of adding a student, I want to def delete student, self student, takes in the student ID. Now, what can I do? So now I need to somehow locate that student ID inside of this self.students object. And now then I have to remove that student ID. And yeah, I'm just gonna do it kind of like a brute force. So I need to remove that from that student list and then resave the student list. So I'm going to create a new student list, have it be empty, deleted. I'm going to have some indication to the user that that student was successfully deleted. And maybe I can't find that user as well. And then I wanted to.
Hey, Tom, would
Yep.
that be school ID or student ID?
What's that?
The value, yeah, the variable. Is that school ID or can you name it whatever?
Yeah, well, I named it student ID when in actuality it should be probably, I didn't, yeah, for some reason the naming of the instance variables between student and staff, but let's keep things like the same. So this, I guess, should be school ID.
Okay.
That makes sense. Thanks for pointing that out. So I'm going to make that as school ID and school ID. So what I'm going to do is for student in self.students. So that's for each student object in that self.students. I'm going to say, hey, if the student dot school ID does not equal the school ID. So if that doesn't equal, that means that I'm going to keep that student in the list. I'm going to new student list dot append student. Else, I'm just going to deleted student. And the only reason why I'm doing this is this, like this specific part. The reason why I'm doing this part and keeping record of that is because I want to display to the user that, hey, I in fact deleted Tom, or or yeah. And also to check, hey, if the deleted student equals none after it loops through it, that means that student doesn't exist. All right. So after it loops through it, if student or deleted student equals none, I'm gonna just return a print, says no student found. Oop. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this. So here's my new student list, a list of student objects that contains all the students that I did not delete. Students equals new student lists. And now I'm just gonna self dot save students. So I'm actually resaving the new students. Let's see. Just want to see something. Oh, there we go. Yep. Save students. And then I'm just going to print deleted student. We'll probably do this in F string. Deleted student dot name has been deleted. So let's clear that. Let's actually run that, see if it works. Quit. So remove a student. So I'm gonna do 4. Actually, I don't even know. Clear that. Let's list all the students and let's delete Tom. So I'm gonna remove a student. So enter student ID is 5555. No student found. Uh-oh. Why not? Let's see what's going on. So student and self.student does not equal. Why didn't that work?
Could be the variable name delete student and deleted student.
Where we go? Oh, yeah. Look at that. Because they're all the same. Deleted student. Let's see if that works. Well, hold on. No student found. Yeah, let's run that again.
You defined it as delete student and then you call deleted student. So the definition of on line 28.
Line 28. So delete student.
And then you're calling deleted student on line 43.
Line 43. Yeah, so here I'm actually calling this part.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yep. So let's just
Not a
see.
function. It's an instance. Got it.
So, all right, let's try to run this for. So deleted student, Tom has been deleted. So let's actually check to see if in fact Tom has been deleted. So list all the students. And it looks like Tom is no longer there. Cool.
Hey, Tom,
Yep.
does that mean that Tom is now deleted from the CSV file?
Yes, because so if I look at students, Tom is no longer there.
Got it. Thank you.
And I'm sure there's an easier way. If I were to go back and refactor this, I'd probably I don't know, no, necessarily, no, I might like slice the self.students based on this. So I don't have to like create a new list and then reassign it. So I would just like splice that student out of the new students list. But this works, it's good. I'm gonna actually do capitalize as well. Let's just add clear runner, list all the students. So let's remove, who should remove? 1, 3, 3, 4, 5. Let's remove Lisa. So what's going on? 1, 3, 3, 4, 5. Lisa has been deleted, and notice how my CSV file has been updated. I can also just make sure that she has in fact been deleted, and it's right there. I can also remove, Dave 788908, and you can see this get updated when I click enter. There we go. And that's that. So I can do get add, get status, add all those PyCache. Let's go ahead and create a get ignore file. Dot get ignore. And add, was it? I think if I just do / PyCache, will it not add that? Or do I actually have to do classes? Get reset, clear, get add, get status, still adding that. There we go. So it's not adding the PyCache anymore. So I can clear, get commit, instructor solution, Tom, get push origin master. I can come over here, refresh that. Got my get ignore, go to pull requests, create a new pull request. I'm requesting to pull Tom Preet school interface 3 from the master branch to Papa Platoon school interface 3. Create pull request. This is one solution, but there are many. Create pull requests. There we go. I'm gonna